Okay. So number 16 is your integrated self. That you want to match your actions and your values. You want to be able to admit your errors. You want to be able to be authentic. You don't want to have to control things or be defensive. Just be authentic, be honest, be real, and match whatever you say or feel or think to what you decide to do, to your decisions, so that your actions are true and authentic and a reflection of your heartfelt thoughts or decisions. Okay. And then your general health. Your emotional intelligence reflects your general health and vice versa. So, do you have a healthy mind? Do you have a healthy body? Do you have healthy emotions, feelings? And are you able to stop self-defeating patterns or bad habits? Now, of course, we're all human, and this is along a continuum, as most everything is. So we'll have things that we do that are habits. They can get into bad habits. Are you able to manage yourself by noticing what those feelings are and connecting with taking care of yourself? So your general health. Are you sensitive to your heart, what you need, and what you care about? And then are you able to construct your lifestyle to take care of yourself? So there you go. Those are the 8 components of knowing your own heart. Any questions about that? There are 3 kinds of emotional styles that we have. And there are the people who are needing to learn to manage their mind, because, of course, our thoughts determine how our feelings are. And if we're not managing our mind, then if our mind is spinning, our feelings will also be spinning, and we'll feel out of control of not only our feelings, but our thought process. And so those are the people where they say, ooh, that's scary. They have anxiety. Then we've got the second of 3 types, the people that doubt themselves or have low self-esteem or a low deserve level. And those people, when something happens, they say, oh, shame on me, rather than that's scary. So the head people say, ooh, that's scary. The heart people say, ooh, shame on me. I doubt myself. And then the instinctual people, the belly brain people, which is where our action energy lies, those people say, no, I won't. They want to be in control, and they don't want the world or you or outside circumstances to control them or tell them what to do. And they're saying, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I won't. So those are the 3 kinds of responses we have. And that means if you know yourself, you'll know how to manage your heart, whether or not your heart is responding to your anxiety or saying that's scary, or whether your heart is responding to something where you're doubting yourself or worried about whether or not you did the right thing or you're worthy enough. And then whether or not you're trying to control things, either to control somebody else, to control yourself, to control your space. And that's a place where instead of having an emotion, you have anger and frustration. And anger and frustration really are overlaid on top of feelings. They're not really about emotional intelligence. Now, if we don't manage our emotions and they get too big and they explode, they become anger, and anger is not an emotion. We don't experience anger in the body like we do emotions. Anger is an out of control expression of fight or flight, defensiveness, and it's really not connected with what we're thinking or what we're feeling. It's just connected with taking action toward pleasure, away from pain, or attacking whatever is dangerous or fleeing from whatever is dangerous. So notice it's controlling your action energy and controlling your environment to stay safe, to determine your own course in life, to get it the right way, the way you want it. Any questions about that? Does that make sense to you? So those are the three kinds of people. Now, the next part that I wanted to share with you has to do with, because we're talking about knowing your heart, there are 4 components to knowing your heart, just like there are 4 components to motivating yourself and 1 to connect with others that we'll talk about later. How do I figure out which of the 3 types I am? Great question. Well, one of the fastest and most accurate ways, of course, is to use my very best tool. And my very best tool, I'm typing it here, is the Enneagram Personality Style Indicator. So if you do your Enneagram, that will automatically identify whether you're a fear type, a self-doubt type, or a control type. But one of the ways that you can identify that is when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're stressed. Or maybe you don't wake up in the middle of the night when you get stressed. But usually when we're stressed about something, we're going to be the fear types, the worry types, are going to worry about what's going to go wrong in the future. And you'll find yourself trying to figure out how to plan things and trying to ask questions in terms of how to get things to go the way you want them to go, so that nothing falls out of bed. That's if you're an anxiety type. If you're a self-doubt type, you're usually thinking about the past, thinking about yesterday or last week and thinking, oh dear, did I do it right? Oh dear, was I good enough? Oh dear, did I hurt somebody's feelings? Oh dear, did I mess up in some way? So when you start worrying, you start worrying about what you did before and wondering whether or not you should feel ashamed or guilty about that. That's then when you know you're this low self-esteem heart type. And if you're the control type, the belly type, you'll notice that rather than feeling low self-esteem or worry and nervousness, you get really frustrated and tense and edgy and kind of critical about things, and kind of like it's a no. Don't do it that way. It's wanting to control things and wanting to change things to the place where you want it to be. So with that description, can you figure out which of the 3 types you are? Can you relate to one of those? Now, of course, we do all of them, but there's one that's kind of our Achilles heel. And I just, I know this really well, and still, when I get stressed, I worry about, oh gosh, I forgot to do that at the party yesterday, or oh gosh, I forgot to say such and so, or I shouldn't have said that. I'll get myself lost in that. Of course, then I get up and I do my journaling to quit it. It's like that goes nowhere. So, did that help? Let me know. Do you know which type you are? So the 4 parts of looking at emotional intelligence in knowing your heart have to do with passion. And emotional intelligence is the ability to sense, understand, and effectively apply the power and acumen of emotions as a source of human energy, influence, trust, creativity, and information. It's being passionate. That's the ultimate definition, the one that I really like, that's from the researchers that create the EQ map. So let me read that again. It's being passionate about this whole part of life, really connected with life, passionate and involved, not overdramatic, not shut down, really kind of excited about yourself and your life. Not that it's all the time, but here it is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to sense, to understand, and effectively apply the power and acumen, the power and the mastery of emotions as a source of human energy, influence, trust, creativity, and information. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that powerful? It's a huge skill, and it affects almost everything in life. Okay, she says, or he says, okay, and so now that I know which type I am, how can I use this information? Exactly. That means that you're needing to learn either to manage your thought process. Well, truly, it is managing your thought. All of us need to manage our thought process. That's how we manage our feelings. But your thought process about worries in the future, your thought process about self-esteem, or your thought process about power and control, trying to control. And so that means the worry types, we want you to have faith. We want you to trust and relax, knowing that nothing that bad is going to happen, and to enjoy life. The self-doubt types, we want you to let go of criticizing yourself and let go of feeling those yucky feelings of shame and self-doubt and move on to the next, which is more positive and creative. And the control types, we want you to stop being frustrated and angry, and we want you to take action and make something happen. So that's the quick answer. So of the heart is passionate. Also of the heart is resilience, bouncing back. Resilience is the emotional intelligence is the resilience to perform under pressure and to bounce back from a difficulty. It's believing in success. Because if you believe in success and there's a problem or a difficulty, instead of being weighed down by it or grouchy about it or discouraged by it or afraid of failure, you think, well, that was a problem. That was a bump in the road. That didn't work. So what is going to work? How do we solve the problem? What's next? Bouncing back. Okay, next. I think I'm a control type. I don't want to change that. No, you can't change it. You can't change your control because this is the type we have started very early in childhood, and it's usually going to be there. However, we have all aspects in ourselves. One of the things that you want to be careful about if you're a control type is you can be very disrespectful if you try to control other people. Each of us deserves the respect to be in charge of our own lives and to control ourselves and, in essence, to determine our own destiny. So there is, as in all of the elements of being human, a whole, system, how do I say it, paradoxical system or a continuum, and we can use control to be creating the best in life, or we can use control to punish or judge or be revengeful or too tight, or also people can use control to be too passive aggressive, too loose. It's like, I'm going to stay in control by you telling me what you want me to do, and I just don't do anything. So all of these have a talent and a skill in terms of us learning to, again, know your heart and to motivate yourself in the most positive manner. So next week we'll talk about motivation. This week, talking about the heart. I can see how if someone was a fear type, that they would want to change. A fear type, if the fear is only a little bit of worry, then they are For example, the very best people to put in charge of quality control, where they plan and they think ahead and figure out how to make sure everything's going to go okay. They're not in essence afraid, they're just concerned that for safety and security. So that's underneath a fear type, where they want everything to be safe and secure and good and copacetic for everybody. And so when they're healthy, they don't run off of fear, they run off of making sure that everything's going to work out fine. Does that make sense? I think of myself as a manager, not so much a controller. Well, then you're probably pretty darned healthy with your needing to control. Managing is probably using that ability as a skill and as a talent, and making sure that things are going to go well for all the elements involved, because you've got them arranged so that you've controlled it and you're going to make sure you determine success. So, am I on track with that? So all of these things are qualities. Of course, I'm going to talk about when we get stressed, because that's the easiest way to identify them. But they're qualities that can be developed all along the continuum of down to where we're sabotaging ourselves, or way up to where we're serving the world excellently with that ability. Okay. Yes, two more pieces of the heart. Visionary and empowered. So visionary. Emotional intelligence is the vision to create the future. It's having a dream, which means you're connected so much with yourself and what you care about that you have a dream. You have a vision for what you want, that's something you care about, whether or not it's you creating something or inventing something or serving the world, doing something that is constructive, positive, creative, and in essence is an expression of something that you hold close to your heart or that you have a passion for. Isn't that cool? So do you have a vision? Do you have a dream? And one of my favorite ways of helping people identify their vision is I give them my handout for a passion list, and then they start developing a story around what they love, and then create a visual poster board of the images of their dreams, images of the vision they have for what they want next in life. My experience with this myself is that whenever I create one of those image posters, which are the images, the visions of my goals or my dreams, after about 7 years, most of them have come true, or they've morphed to a place where that vision now is alive and in the real sense, no longer a vision, but part of my life. So visionary, having a vision, having a dream, that's part of emotional intelligence and knowing your own heart. And then the fourth part is empowered. An emotionally intelligent person or family or group is one where you have the confidence to contribute to the fullest. It's believing in yourself. Believing in yourself, which is that instead of being ashamed or guilty or having self-doubt, it's being so empowered that you believe in yourself, you have confidence, and therefore you are available to go into action to motivate yourself to achieve something. And that's the part we'll talk about next week. But we need to be able to be in touch with believing in ourselves. If we don't believe in ourselves, then we don't develop those dreams, we don't take action, and we're not empowered. Sometimes we think our empowerment comes from somewhere else, but you and I have heard many stories about people who believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, and no matter what happens around them, they move into that just because they believe in themselves. And also, of course, what we just talked about, resilience, believing that things are good, that things can work out. And I don't know about you, sometimes I'm really good at that, and sometimes I get bogged down and find myself sabotaging myself and blocking myself. Any thoughts or questions about that? Thank you for tuning in and listening tonight. So those are the four criteria of emotional maturity that have to do with knowing your own heart. Being passionate, being able to bounce back and be resilient, being visionary, having a dream, and being empowered where you believe in yourself. Okay, there's that part. So if I'm thinking about those, and I'm wanting you to think about this for yourself, knowing your heart, the power of passion. It's passion, being passionate, believing in success, having a dream, and believing in yourself. So what are your passions? And I have a passion list, 8 pages long, all different kinds of things people in the world have a passion for. And do you know what I did once? I went into the local bookstore, Barnes & Noble, with my camera, my little pocket camera, and I took photographs of every section of all the magazine racks because I was curious how many passions were exemplified or illustrated in the magazines that people buy and publish. Can you guess how many topics there were? After I took all those pictures and examined them all and made a list of the topics covered, there were 253 topics covered by magazines on the racks in Barnes & Noble. So if you're kind of wondering about what you're passionate about, what you want to be when you grow up, what your hobbies are, how you take a break and take care of yourself, just wander around the magazine racks. And don't just, if you're a man, don't just stay with the men's, and if you're a woman, don't just stay with the woman's. Just cruise around and see what people are up to. It's fascinating to me, the people who are carving fine woods, the people who are creating like fish ponds in the backyard, or using buttons in special works of art or jewelry. Or designing a new part of a car, or looking at learning how to be better in stock investors. It's wonderful what people spend so much intelligence and passion with. So what are yours? And I've got 6 different kind of areas of passions. First of all, learning and growing and teaching, career, business, mission, and service, that whole part of knowledge and schooling ourselves and giving that to the world. Then health, fitness, sports, self-defense, those kinds of things where we're developing ourselves physically and using ourselves physically, artfully. Then relationships, family, children, older people, animals, connecting with the people and animals that we love. Then hobbies, arts, creativity, home decorating, computers, science, those kinds of ventures that we have in our environment where we become inventive and artful and creative and doing new things. And then, of course, travel and adventure, vehicles, culture, lifestyle, nature, being out in the midst of those kinds of things. And the last category is your spiritual life, your community, your political thoughts, historical knowledge, philosophical ideas, which are more in using your mind. So isn't that interesting? Those are kind of the large categories of passions that we can work in, we can play in, we can be creative, we can find ways where we take a break and make ourselves happy. Do you remember in the very beginning tonight when I was talking about you need to be able to make yourself happy? The very first component was life satisfactions and vision, time spent on dreams, time spent on what makes you happy. And this list of passions, that's where you want to find clues if you want to develop that part of your emotional intelligence. And then, of course, resilience, developing your ability to bounce back. And I think about it as your emotional fitness. And one of my favorite examples of that is the little engine that could. It's like, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could. Which is believing in success, keeping on, and believing that you can move through things and get there. Bouncing back from the bumps in the road, having faith in the silver lining, knowing that the sun comes after the storm, and that idea of, well, stumbled and fell there, I'm going to pick myself, dust myself off, and start in a new direction. Or just go out and walk the dog, do something that makes me happy. And then a vision. Do you have a dream? Do you have dreams, goals, priorities, joys, a lifestyle that you're going towards or expanding? And that image poster, that's my favorite, and it's such an easily accessible endeavor. And I can't describe to you how powerful the influence is of doing one of those. Some people call it a vision board, an image poster, a goal-setting picture. How powerful it feels to do it and to create it yourself. There's no way to convey that until you actually do it. And I also strongly recommend, if you've got kids, teenagers, or a friend that's kind of not sure who they want to be when they grow up, that it's a mutual activity that's quiet, thoughtful, and very, very connected with the heart. So you might want to think about doing that. And if you want my instruction sheet on it, just email me. It's an easy thing to do, and it's a very powerful, impactful, and delightful thing to do. It's really connected with being the visionary part of yourself. And then the last part of this know your heart part is be empowered. And when I think about us empowering our kids, I want our kids to have that sense of, I'm a can-do kid. I want to be a can-do adult too. And so I think about it in these aspects, these 5 aspects. It's having the confidence to contribute to the fullest, not holding back, not worrying about whether or not you're good enough, giving it all you got. That's having confidence. That's being empowered. And being confident enough where if you fall flat on your face, it's like pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start over again. Or say, that didn't work. What? I did learn something. What am I going to do next? That, to me, it's giving it all you got. Not holding back and withholding. So that later on you say, gosh, what if I would have? Then believing in yourself, knowing that when you try to do something, when you focus mentally, when you develop the skill, when you really want to do something, that you can get there, you can do it, you can make it happen. And one of my favorite things about that is, this is the last point that connects to that. It's remember your successes and your cheerleaders. So when it's hard to believe in yourself, one of the things that it's quite a lengthy exercise I do with people in Rewriting Your Future, where I ask them to think about the 3 peak experiences of their life. And I've had all different kinds of stories about what people felt was a peak experience. Sometimes it's graduating from college, sometimes it's winning a 5K or just completing a 5K. Sometimes it's planning a large event for, what do you call that? Um, Fundraising for a cause. Sometimes it's giving birth to a child. All different things, peak experiences. But so often we forget those, and I spend a very respectful and deep amount of time hearing the story and defining all of the skills that were illustrated in that success. And there are usually a dozen, at least a dozen skills used together to get that success. And it's so easy for us when we've succeeded to forget the qualities that we have inside. So when sometimes it's hard to believe in yourself, remember something that you've accomplished and think about all the talents that you have developed that are yours. Nobody can take those away from you that allowed you to be successful with that project. So that's one of the ways to believe in yourself. The other way that I just love is remember your cheerleaders. Sometimes it's only your mom or your grandma or your dad or your brother or a neighbor or a coach or a professor or a best friend or the dad of one of your little brother's best friends. So remember your cheerleaders. Remember the people who were kind and paid attention to you and mentored you and or just held it there for you. Remember your cheerleaders. When you need to believe in yourself and it's hard, remember those successes and the qualities and remember your cheerleaders. And then to be empowered and to know that you can be the can-do adult is learn when to let go of control and when to take responsibility. Not passive, not aggressive. And for the person who talked about being a control type, I'm sure because you're now so healthy that you're thinking as a manager, you know when to hang on and when to let go. You know not to be passive. You know not to be controlling. Rather, to manage it, to make discerning decisions on when to let it be, when to let it go, and when to walk in and take responsibility. And that's one of those lifetime dilemmas, this continuum that goes on one side is being able to let go, and sometimes some people say to let go and let God, or to let go and have the faith, or let go and trust others now that they're doing it. Let it be. And sometimes, on the other hand, we need to be able to say, wait a minute, I need to show up, I need to be responsible, I need to take charge, I need to make something happen. And that's one of those lifetime dilemmas. That's one of the hard ones, you know. When is it that it's my responsibility to hang on and make it happen? And when is it my responsibility to let go and have faith and just let somebody else take it, or just see how it unfolds in our culture or in our world? Any questions, dears? That kind of ties a ribbon on this first part of emotional intelligence, which is about knowing your emotions and managing your own emotions, knowing your heart, which means knowing what you're feeling and deciding to choose to be positive with them. Rather than throwing a quote-unquote tantrum, which is caretaking, trying to control by manipulating, by doing the right thing, or looking for approval, or whining, which is playing the martyr, or shutting down and retreating and refusing to talk, which is passive-aggressive, or being revengeful and hating something and blaming, or the fifth part is being a dominator and a bully and having rage and hurting or breaking things. Those are the 5 tantrums. Instead of having those 5 tantrums, we want you to be connected with what you are passionate about. And if there's a problem, to solve the problem with your intelligence and your heart connected, because when you connect your intelligence and your empathy, you get wisdom. You get wisdom to manage your own heart. You get wisdom to be resilient, to be passionate, to be motivated and empowered, and also to be that can-do person. Where can I find this list of 5 tantrums? Well, that's easy. Just email me. The list of 5 tantrums, I will post it next time on the Red Room as a download, but just email me. It's this is one of my models for emotional intelligence in terms of people who blame and throw tantrums versus people who solve problems and take responsibility. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. My email, absolutely, dear. Thank you for asking. It's heatherc@heathercarlisle.com. That's it. It's as simple as that. Grab that email address and email me and ask me for the passion list. Ask me for my EQ models. That's what the tantrums and the problem solver. Those are my EQ models. Actually, I call them my EQ stars. And ask me for my handouts from tonight as well, because I know all you got was the list of the 20 components. And before I sign off tonight, I'm going to read, oh, you're so welcome, dear. Thanks for asking. I'm going to read this quote that I wrote. I gave my best to this one. And nobility is trusting my wisdom with a strong heart. Emotional intelligence is the essence of those courteous and charitable ones who walk among us with the power of intelligent and cheerful nobility. The graceful woman and the gallant man. They inspire us with their courage and wisdom, the courage to stand firmly for truth, and the wisdom to act on it with kindly discernment. Hope you like that. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'll see you next week for part 2 on emotional intelligence, which is taking your heart, your emotions, and motivating yourself for success and excellence. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. And I'll see you same time next week in the Red Room.